Will that voice inside your head just not shut up? Did you know that some folks don't even have a little voice inside their head? That's right, they do not.
Hey.
Salutations, good people. Welcome to the CS Podcast, where we create stuff, or if you're Trey, create shit. And today, we have our hands and our heads completely full with a discussion about inner monologues and that little voice that it's just
maybe it keeps going, maybe it doesn't.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't have an inner monologue.
Which blows my mind, and that's why I'm excited to talk about today.
Dude, me too. So this started, I saw just a little blurb, like a little fact I read, and it said like somewhere like 50% of people don't have an inner monologue, that little voice inside their head that talks to them all day, you know, maybe all night if you're third shift, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, fun fact, if you don't know what an inner monologue is, it's where you're narrating to yourself inside your head. So you think in, like, it can either be full sentences, it can be complete sentences, or full sentences, it can be fragmented sentences, or it can even just be like a couple of words here and there. So that's kind of what defines an inner monologue. And yeah, so according to a study by Russell Hurlbert, I don't know if that's correct, but he reports
it's the oldest name.
Yeah, no.
Oldest sounding name I've ever heard.
Good news, everyone.
I'm Mr. Hurlbert.
30 to 50% of people have an inner monologue frequently. So
I thought everybody
means,
did.
Yeah, I just kind of did too.
At least that's what I told myself.
Oh God! So you know what's crazy is
bad.
The more, maybe we just don't talk about it enough, but I've met more people that have an inner monologue than don't. And that's because I've never met anybody that doesn't have an inner monologue. Everybody that I've talked to, they're like, yeah, that's weird. I have a little voice in my head.
I don't know that I've ever gotten to that discussion with that many people. I don't think I've ever gotten into a discussion with somebody about inner monologues.
So I either saw a TikTok or something years ago about this same topic. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And like, Morgan has an inner monologue. Most of my, like, the friends that I've asked, like, I think Jody has an inner monologue. I'm sure Mannion has an inner monologue. So, I mean, I haven't asked, like, my pool of study is not, it's quite shallow. It's not deep. It's like a tide pool. So, but still, that confirmation bias. It's more people that I've talked to.
Right. Man, well, I wonder if you just naturally attract yourself to like-minded people.
Yeah,
like
we're just telepathically communicating.
You're over here going, I don't know, should I say hey to that guy? He seems like a cool dude, but I don't want to come off weird. And I'm like, is this guy going to say hey to me? I hope he doesn't come off weird.
Yeah.
Or, and it's just this whole ebb and flow, and then you end up talking, and it's like, oh, man, I was really nervous.
Oh, man, should I go over there? I don't want to be weird. Man, who's this weird motherfucker that keeps eyeing me?
Yeah. But maybe there's this whole other group of folks who are just
see pictures. It's just like flat, like Polaroid flashes.
Yeah.
And just like still images, or maybe it moves.
Energy. Like, so if you're somebody who doesn't have an inner monologue and you surround yourself naturally by people who do not have inner monologues.
Yeah.
I can't fathom going... Like, as soon as I thought of two people who don't talk to themselves...
How do they talk to each other? How do they converse?
How do they decide that they're going to go talk? What is this function?
So there are different... And I didn't write these down because there were kind of quite a lot, but there are different ways that you think. And so, potentially people without an inner monologue, like, let's say, the example that they use is brushing your teeth. So we go, okay, I got to get up, I got to go brush my teeth. Instead, they see themselves brushing their teeth. There's no words to go along with it. There's no narration. They just see themselves picking up the toothpaste, putting it on the toothbrush, and brushing their teeth. And that's how they know to go through the steps.
So instead of an Audible book, it's a movie.
And it's just like they live their entire life in a Charlie Chaplin film. It's brushing my teeth.
Glad you clarified.
Yeah, I didn't think about it until I realized.
Did Charlie Chaplin have a girlfriend? Was Charlie Chaplin a ladies' man?
I don't know. He may brush his teeth quite a bit. I don't know.
He brushed his teeth. Charlie Chaplin.
I have no idea. I don't know.
Well, he never opened his mouth, so.
Yeah, so. Who knows?
Who knows what he was putting in there off camera?
So yeah, it's they live their whole life in a silent film, I guess, which is interesting. Now, another fun fact for you is we don't actually they kind of think it was assumed okay, we this is a natural part of being a human is this inner monologue, but we actually don't develop an inner monologue until we're kids. Which if you think about it, we don't speak in sentences, which makes sense because kids don't have language.
Right.
So how else are they going to think? Yeah. How else are they going to think other than in pictures or
emotion?
Yeah, emotion.
I don't know if you can think
emotion is another way that you can feel. You feel the emotion, but you don't have words that go along with it. You just feel joy or feel sorrow or whatever.
Interesting.
And so, if you think about it. Oh, go ahead.
Oh my gosh! No, if I don't say it, it's going to hurt me because I'm an overthinker because I talk to myself so much.
Yeah, I feel that. Or I think that
30 to 50% of the population does. But oh god, it's such a complicated thought. Mm-hmm. Oh man, I just had complicated thoughtception.
Okay.
So it has to do with people who I'm thinking like Bo Burnham comes to mind.
Yeah.
The way he talks, he has so much going on in his head that he sometimes struggles and has a hard time putting it into words because he's just so creative. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying creative people are more important than or more intelligent than folks who are not
you
creative.
Can say that. This is our podcast. The views and thoughts of Josh Oglesby do not reflect the CS podcast as a whole. Or
necessarily my inner thoughts, because I don't know, there's two of me. But I don't know where this is going. But no, it's how you have a hard time expressing what you're thinking into words. Because you've got so much creativity going on in your brain, it's really tough to illustrate it. And creators and artists who find their method or their mode to express it, that's why they're so passionate and they get so addicted to that, and that becomes their form of communication. Okay. So when it comes to kids who don't have, I'm struggling here,
language,
they don't have that inner dialogue to do that. They have to go through. They have to express it other ways. So it's just interesting, the idea and the correlation between kids who don't have words yet and folks who, I don't know, it's a sign of a lot of creativity if you can't express what you're thinking because it's so complicated. And
so your thought process is...
I'm experiencing it right now, literally.
So what I'm trying... I guess I'm trying to understand. So you're saying that creatives, people that are very creative, either they have too much inner monologue that's going on or they don't... that lack thereof... that lack of inner monologue is why it becomes difficult, or why they have to find another means of creating, of communication, in a sense, of expressing themselves. Is it because they do or do not have that monologue that they find that other means of expressing themselves?
I guess I'm not trying to make a point as to whether they do or don't. Just the conflict between
just thought and creating in general.
The fact that. Ask me that question again. What you had just asked me?
Can we roll that tape back?
Yeah.
It was. So are you trying to get to what you're trying to understand is it a lack of the inner monologue, or is it because they have that inner monologue that they seek out this other means of expressing themselves?
I guess I find the discussion interesting.
Okay.
It's not that I think one way or the other.
Yeah.
But I think that it almost contradicts, like some situations contradict one another.
Yeah.
When you've got somebody who can't express what they want to say, they're creative, and then other maybe younger kids who literally don't have the words, so they get creative in other ways. But then maybe
they draw and they color and
right. But then they grow out of it and they become some of these kids don't have inner monologues anymore.
Yeah, I think it is that they may never, either you develop it at a young age or you don't.
Yeah,
is how it works from what I understood from my brief research. So some kids just don't develop an inner monologue, and there's a thing. So it's called aphantasia.
Okay.
I think is what it's called. I could be pronouncing that wrong.
I'm
but
over
basically,
here trying to recover from...
Basically, what this means is there are people out there that cannot see visually inside, like they can't see visuals in their mind.
Really?
They don't see pictures.
Now, what percentage of that is the population?
It didn't say, but there's a study that they were saying there's a correlation that people with this aphasia or whatever that cannot see visuals in their mind have shown a weak or absent inner monologue. So there's kind of a correlation there. Like if you can't see pictures, you also don't.
Wow.
You don't have this inner monologue. So I mean, it's just like all I can think of. Like when I hear that correlation, I thought it would be the opposite. You'd be able to
like a blind man who can hear really good.
So all I can think of is there's just a big fucking cymbal monkey in their head. Because what else are they like? They can't. What do they do? Like if they're not seeing anything, if they're not thinking in words, I guess they just feel. I guess they're just. That's the most like Zen Buddhist like. In the moment you could possibly be if inside your head you can't see or hear.
Well, see,
you literally have no choice but to experience life.
That's interesting that you say that because I'm listening to a book by Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Oh, okay.
Let me find the name of it. It is Becoming Supernatural. Now, this has nothing to do with religion or anything like that.
Or the show.
Right. But it's just like, I think I actually might have mentioned this to you, how we talk about Bob Proctor and he can talk about the law of attraction.
Oh, yeah.
And Bob Proctor would say, I don't know how it works. I just know that it does work. And here's how to make it happen. But I don't know the inner workings because it gets very detailed and complicated.
Yeah.
Joe Dispenza explains and breaks it down and talks about a woman who, I forgot what happened to her vision in her eye, and she literally, through months and months and months of these practices, very complicated, in-depth, introspective practices, that she, through just thought alone, a very strategic way of thinking, and producing certain thoughts, and she's thinking of the... he calls it the getting out of the predictable future. Okay. Because we base everything that we do on what we know. We base,
Which a fun fact tying into that. That's what people think. Like you ever go to sleep and then you dream something and then it happens, like that deja vu premonition. It's not actually you seeing the future. They think we're so good at predicting outcomes. Our brain. That's actually what it is.
It happened to me today.
Really?
Very specific.
It's always super fucking specific, but it's wild.
This has to do with Lauren Holly from Dumb and Dumber.
Okay.
The lady who played Mary in Dumb and Dumber.
Okay.
Back when I was in Vima Nutrition Company, big convention, Las Vegas, there was a couple who had a son who suffered massive brain injury on the basketball court. They ended up making a movie about his recovery and him going on to thrive and all this. Yeah. And his nickname, I forgot the boy's real name, but the parents, I know the woman's name was Ruth. I can't remember her last name. Elliot.
Okay.
I tried to think about it all morning when I was telling Courtney this story. It's Ruth, and I forgot her husband's name. But Mr. Elliot.
Yeah.
Their son's nickname in school and in their household was Hoovy. Okay. So the name of the movie is called Hoovy. And it was like a...
The Hoovy movie. Yeah.
It was literally #Hoovy movie.
Okay.
So Ruth Elliott tells us at this big convention in the Mirage Hotel in Las Vegas that they're going to make a movie about Hoovy.
Yeah.
And how he was on Vima the whole time and whatever. And we were like, oh, that's great. That's so cool. And she's like, so question, do you guys want to be in that movie? And we're like, yeah. And I mean, this is a crowd of 2,000 maybe.
Yeah.
It was a big room. She goes, well, Lauren Holly from Dumb and Dumber is going to play me. Oh, that's so cool. And she goes, would you guys like to meet her? Lauren Holly was there, walks out on stage. I've completely forgotten about this part of my life, or this little situation.
But your little inner monologue, it reminded you.
It did. So last night, I thought about Ruth Elliott and her family and the Hoovy movie and Vima, and I was like, man, what a testimony for Vima and how it helped him recover and just how powerful that was. I dreamed about it and I woke up thinking about it. Well, then later on, Courtney brings up Lauren Holly, and I can't remember how. And I was like, I just dreamed about Lauren Holly. like Lauren Holly. It's not like
Yeah.
she's made 100 blockbusters since Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, what I was talking about specifically is like, you call it deja vu. You go to sleep and then you have a dream. Like I am physically, like in my dream, looking at this notebook. I see episode 59 up here. The date, all this.
more deja
literally
vu-esque.
that. And I see it in my dream, and then I click and I go, "Oh my god, I've seen this already." And it's your brain is so good at predicting
that's weird.
that it, yeah, it's like Doctor Strange in Endgame. He's like, I went through all the universe. Yeah, I went through all the possibilities, and my brain ended on this exact writing. How it knew I was going to write this. Like that's a wild
Right.
thing. Now shifting back to the inner monologue, I would be curious, and I didn't really look into this, but I would be curious if there is a study on how people think in the sense of if they just think visually, there's no inner monologue, there's no thought behind it, or if they think visually, correlating to what they are best suited as far as creativity goes. So like somebody more visual, maybe a painter. Somebody that listens and hears an inner monologue, maybe a better writer,
Director.
or a better musician. Somebody with emotion that mostly primarily thinks with just emotion and feeling. Maybe there's something else. I would be curious to see if there's some sort of correlation there, depending on how you think,
Right.
and how you create. I think that would be cool.
Right. Well, then you have people who do musicals.
Yeah,
And I mean, what combination are we looking at with that? Like,
yeah. And most people, it says most people can be a combination of any. There's like 5 different ways, and I don't remember the 5 ways that you
okay.
think, but a combination of them. Some may only experience 1 or 2, which is crazy. But yeah, studies have shown that children as young as 18 to 21 months use some form of inner like phonetics, like some kind of like thing. And then kids as young as like 5 to 7 years old can utilize an inner monologue. And there's different ways they can test this. And it's kind of hard to test because I can't see in your brain.
Right.
You know, so it's kind of hard to really get a grasp. They have different, like, I don't think I wrote it down, but different criteria on how to actually test and somewhat accurately figure out if somebody has an inner monologue. But
well, this might go back to the whole kids say the darndest things, right? Yeah. Like that kids will say something brutally honest because they don't have an inner monologue that they've not walked it through. They don't have the ability to walk it through. So when
that's a good point.
So for an example, we were in the store and I knew the word midget.
Okay.
And this is me as a child.
Yeah.
So don't cancel me for this word.
Yeah.
But we were walking through the store and there was a little person and I said, "Mommy, look, a midget."
Yeah.
As loud as I could.
As a child, that's
Right.
No filter. That's it, no filter. The inner monologue is your filter. Yeah.
I would imagine. I mean, it's also your little story writer for the next, I don't know, when you go to get in the car, you're like,
yeah.
I hope nobody comes across that hill while I'm backing out of Trey's driveway. Mm-hmm. It normally doesn't happen, but
you never know.
This could be the 4th time it happens because I feel like there's only been a few times. That's me.
So I wonder, again, they are people that don't have that little inner monologue. Do they experience less anxiety?
Are you less of an
I guess overthinking. Like, I guess when I say anxiety, that type of anxiety, that kind of
that overthinking-esque.
Yeah,
because
or maybe they just picture a car coming around. Maybe they don't do it with words, but they do it visually. They just see it, and it gives them anxiety, but
not as harsh. Maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, who knows how to measure that? But
yeah,
unless you get 2 people somebody who could confidently say, "I really don't believe I have an inner monologue."
Yeah.
Okay, well, walk us through backing out of that driveway.
Yeah.
And then take somebody like myself, for example, who walked through every scenario. And here's how bad mine is. And I have to, as I've gotten older, I've learned to stop it.
Yeah.
I used to be really bad about this. Talk about this not serving me well.
Mm-hmm.
I would, let's just say, come to a stop sign. There's a particular 4-way stop near my old house in Anderson that it just gave me so much anxiety.
Okay.
Cars it was horrible. I always say, you want to find your local, the nearest dumb person, go to your local 4-way stop.
Yep.
And go through it a few times. You'll find them probably pretty quick. But we would come to it and the car would start to go, or the car didn't look like they were going to stop or something. And then I would just play this whole movie where myself, if somebody else is in the car with me, if we get hit, what if I die? What does the funeral look like?
Yeah.
And I mean, it will go not that quick, but I'll spend the next maybe 2 minutes, maybe 60 seconds playing this whole scenario out. Now I'm in a bad mood. Now I'm sad. And I'm like, I brought myself so down and just catastrophizing everything.
Yeah.
Because of this overthinking. However, it can also go in a different direction. Here lately, real estate's been picking up. It's been a good thing. And I've been really trying to manifest positive, good things, coming to me. And I've let my imagination run absolutely wild.
Yeah.
And that can serve a person way better than thinking about death.
Absolutely. Well, they talk about in the same article is the benefits and the negatives of having that inner monologue.
Yeah.
And I mean, certainly I can see that as one of them. Another one that people don't really think about is typically when you have an inner monologue, you can be a slow reader because you pronounce every...
I am such a slow reader.
You know what's crazy? They were like, you literally don't have to hear the words in your head for your brain to comprehend what you're reading.
Ooh.
That's how you get speed readers. They don't read the words.
Okay.
And I'm like, I guess they batch it. I don't actually know how speed reading works, but like they're not going through in their head going, psych, Professor Russell Herbert reports 30 to 50% of people have an inner monologue frequently. Like in their head, they just scan through it. And I guess they break it up in chunks. I don't know how it works, but they're not saying every word in their head.
Right.
Which is mind-blowing to me.
I could get that. I could get working that part of your brain, like growing a muscle.
Yeah.
I could see exercise, like if you knew how to exercise to speed read, I could see capturing, starting small, looking at a sentence and extracting what its meaning is.
Yeah, it's like read every other word or every fifth word or something, like some way you can pick up on how it, I don't know,
or
if you're a speed reader.
Or types of words that stick out and just extract those, and based on maybe context clues or whatever, like you put it together and you go, oh, okay, the dog's riding a pony.
Yeah. Dog, pony.
Dog and pony show.
Yeah.
Okay, that's page 2. Done.
Yeah. So if you have an inner monologue, let us know. Or if you don't, actually, I want to hear from people that don't have an inner monologue.
Yes.
Because again,
tell us about what you
pool,
don't think.
But I've heard from everybody that has an inner monologue in my life that I've run this theory and test on. So I want to hear from somebody that doesn't. I want to hear firsthand experience.
Me too.
I
want to hear what you don't think about.
Yeah, or how you think. Is it visually? Some people don't even. We went through the aphastasia or whatever. Also,
that's
circling back to that, the reverse of that is true too, or it seems to be not true. I shouldn't say it's true, but it seems to correlate that if you have high visual imagery in your head, you also have a very strong inner monologue, which is interesting. I don't know if that just has to do with cognitive function or what. But there seems to be a correlation there. And again, that's not always the case. There are exceptions and whatnot, but it trends that way.
Aphastasia, that's what I was going to try to look up, but all it would pull up is Anastasia.
Anastasia, the TV, Fern Gully. Do you want to know some signs that you may have an inner monologue?
Yes.
All right. That was good timing. So, talking to yourself, like in your mind, like going through rehearsing a speech that you're going to do, rehearsing a play or whatever. Songs that get stuck in your head. If you have a song randomly pop up in your head and you can hear it and hear the music and play, that's a sign that you have an inner monologue. Replaying a favorite podcast or a movie in your head, like going back over it, that can be a sign you have an inner monologue. Rehearsing in front of an imaginary audience. Again, kind of goes back to talking to yourself, but you're standing there, you go through exactly what you're going to say before you walk out on stage or before you do that business proposal. And then reading to yourself. So reading every word on the page. Not out loud.
Yeah.
So in your head. So those are some signs that you have an inner monologue.
Wow. I mean, I would love to hear from someone who doesn't have this.
Yeah.
Who doesn't have an inner monologue.
Or that,
what do you think the benefits of you not having an inner monologue? Do you suffer from much anxiety?
Yeah, I feel like as somebody that has an inner monologue, I feel like it would be less cluttered in the sense that, like,
Right.
I just feel like there's not as much going on.
Well, I feel like it's if you had a 100 terabyte computer and you deleted half the files
Yeah.
throughout your life, and the files that you've deleted are like your memories or just things that you've forgotten, should I say,
Yeah.
and it just hasn't been cleared out.
Yeah.
That inner monologue just it pops up. That song pops up. It's just cluttered. Like,
Yeah.
but I can't. My brain cannot fathom not having that.
Yeah.
I can't comprehend it. I can't imagine going through life not having all these thoughts and not having anxiety about, I don't know, half of these thoughts.
Yeah. Or like, maybe that's why I have a hard time like drawing.
Yeah.
I can't take it from head to paper. I guess because I can't see it as well as somebody like I don't know. Thinking about somebody that doesn't have an inner monologue, say they're painting. I'm going, okay, I need to paint this yellow. I need to paint this blue. I need to do this stroke this way so that the wing comes out, or so that the eye looks this way, or the eyebrow, and I'm making this, and I'm consciously making a decision. Okay, I'm making a person. This is their nose. This is what it needs to be. You don't have that inner monologue playing in your head. I'm telling myself how to do it. They just see it
Right.
as the finished product, or do they see it as like, does the nose change shape? Is it like water in the sense that just kind of like you got the nose and then it kind of like ripples and changes and it looks like a different nose,
Right.
You know, and that's how they decide on how to draw this person or this thing or this bear or whatever they're drawing. Oh no, I don't want brown fur, and then it shifts and now it's got gray fur or something. Like,
That's so interesting.
me, I go brown, and I go, nah, it's stupid. I literally go, nah, that's dumb. I want it to be gray. Like, that thought, that what I just said is what plays in my head.
Well, I imagine experience with a thing.
True.
Let's just say a drawing. Experience would have, I would imagine, something to do with it.
True.
Like in your craft, like, do you tell yourself, I'm going to have to do this at least 3 times before I come up with the right one?
Yeah.
It's like when that thought process and that inner monologue, like what kind of inner monologue is it? The different types of inner monologues.
Yeah.
That would be something that I would be interested in learning more about.
Yeah, same.
Because with like my video that I sent you last night for my latest real estate video, it was the second time I did it.
Yeah,
And I kept getting interrupted by Dempsey. He was being playful, and I'm like, it was like 27 minutes, and I'm like, I wanted to keep this under 15.
Yeah.
And I kept getting interrupted, whatever. And I told Courtney, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and do it again, because every time that I lived here and I had to redo my videos because I didn't have the speaker on or the microphone on or something, and I'd have to do it twice. I did it in almost like 70% of the time it took me before, and I was way more refined.
Yeah.
So I'm almost to the point that I want to go ahead and do it as if I'm going to send it to you, and then just do it again.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
That was the end of that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I was trying to tie it into our discussion, but it's inner monologue.
That inner monologue trains just hit the brakes and came up short of the station.
Well, my mouth won't hit the brakes. That's what and I feel like if I can't purge my brain, if I can't get it out in words, I'm going to implode sometimes.
Maybe get it out in writing too.
Yeah.
But
I should probably do that.
Yeah. Different ways to express yourself. You could paint. You could make music.
You could be a pro wrestler.
You could create shit.
You could.
You could create shit.
You can.
If you need to get that out of your system. Well, if you haven't created this week, I encourage you to take, 20, 30 minutes. Sit with that inner monologue. Get some quiet time. And purge your brain, like Josh said. Maybe write if you need to. And then just
start a podcast.
Start a podcast. And then just take a couple minutes and actually create something. Something maybe you've been putting off. Maybe it's a business proposal that you really need to get done by, we're recording this on Saturday, so Monday. So you got all day tomorrow to do it and the rest of tonight. Go ahead and get started on that. Clear that out. Purge your brain. Get creative. Make a new
hairstyle.
Hairstyle. Make a new sandwich. I don't know. Make a new painting. Draw something. Write something. Just get creative.
Go wild.
Go wild. Go buck wild. Create shit.
If you're wearing your hat Forward now, turn it backwards.
Create shit.
If you don't like that, take it off, mess your hair up.
Be a man.
Create stuff. Or if you're Trey,
Create shit. All right, I think they get the point.
Until next time, we've been the Scottish Hush Puppy, and I got some food to go eat.
Until next time, I guess, gang, stay spooky.
Jordan Bell stirred. Jordan Bell stirred.
Create shit. Build anything. Make it real.
I've been getting dirty money, Jordan Bell third. Stacking penny stocks while I'm flipping these birds. Sipping on Ciroc, trip 'em up with the words.